Alright, so welcome back. So we are going to talk about what cloud computing is, how it all started really quickly, and to also make you understand it. Now, cloud computing is just like renting a powerful computer, storage space, and software over the internet. Instead of buying and maintaining your own machine at home, you only pay for what you actually use in the cloud. Just think of it like paying for electricity when you switch on the lights. But before we really understand what the cloud is, let us first of all see how websites normally work. Now, when you open a website on your computer or your phone, in this case, what you are using to access the internet is usually called a client, right? That's the first thing that you need to understand here. And then without the internet, which what is in the middle here, you would not be able to access, well, the website you want to access, right? So your device here is your client in this case, right? So it's simply the machine that asks for information. And just think of it like a customer in a restaurant placing an order. So your device is actually going to send a request to this server, which we see right here, yeah, okay? And well, this your network, just think of it as the road that carries your message to the server, that carries your message from one place to the other, right? So once the request reaches the server, this server which you see here is the one that stores the website files. Just imagine you visited google.com or amazon.com. Okay, this your client, your phone sends a request to this Google's server. Okay, so this Google server is where they store all the things you need to see on the internet, right? Is where they store the files, the pictures, the data. Just think of the server as a restaurant kitchen that prepares the food and send it back to you. Now that you've understand what the client is and the server is, in this case, whether you are using the client or the server, they usually have what we call an IP address. Just think of this IP address as the address of your house, right? Or the address of your street. It tells the network exactly where to send it to. So if you wanted to actually visit somebody else's house, you know the address of the house, right? So the same way that every website you see on the internet, they all have servers where they store their website. And this server, they have what we call an IP address, just like the address of everyone's house, right? So in case you want to visit anyone's house, you also need to have an address so that both of you can communicate together. It just simply tells the network exactly where to deliver your message to, which is called the request. And then it knows where to send back that response. Okay. Now, that's one thing you need to know in this case. So before we really proceed, you can also think of the internet as a postal system. If you know a postal office, where when you send a letter, you write the receiver's exact address on the envelope, and the postal office delivers it to the correct mailbox. Okay, so it's the same exact way where your computer sends a request with the correct IP, and then the server receives it and then prepares the website and then send it back to the device's IP, which is the client in this case. So this is how everything moves smoothly on the internet. So whether you are using your laptop to access any website, your laptop is the client, and wherever you are getting those information from is coming from that website server. You visit amazon.com, your phone is the client, Amazon's has a server that processes all these things that you see, right? So let's actually see what this server is composed of. Now, this server is not a magic. It is just a simple, powerful computer. Let me explain clearly. Now, the first thing it composes of is what we call the compute. Now, this compute consists of the CPU and then the RAM. Now, the CPU, just think of this CPU as like the brain of this computer which you are seeing here. Okay, the brain of the server, I mean. Okay, so think of this CPU as the brain of the server, right? It does all the thinking and calculation. Now, this RAM is the short memory, okay, that holds information of the server, right? Just think like, say you want to actually prepare a food, you are the chef, and then you know all the procedures, right? but that procedure is written inside a book of paper, right? So that book of paper, think of it as the RAM. It's just the short-term memory. It holds the information the server is using at the moment. Just think of it as a notepad a chef keeps on the counter while cooking. Now then we have the next one, which is the storage. Okay, now this storage which you actually see here is a long-term hard drive. Okay, just think of it as a memory card, where you store your files, photos, informations. They are kept there permanently, right? And it never forgets it. Okay, that's the storage. And then we have the database. Now this database is simply a special way to organize data, okay, which can be found very quickly. Just imagine this as a library catalog instead of a messy piles of books. So you know where to find the files in the database, right? And then we have the next one, which is the network. Now this network includes things like routers, switches, DNS server, and so on. Now this router is just like a traffic police officer that decides the best route for your data to travel on the internet. Switches are like the post office, right? Are like the post office in your own building. They deliver the message to the exact computer of you want to send it to, right? Or server it is meant for. Now the DNS server are like a phone book of the internet. They translate website names such as google.com. Now don't forget, google.com has an IP address. I've said every website has an IP address, right? So this DNS is just like a big book that translates all of these websites into the correct IP address numbers. Okay, interesting. Now you don't need to worry about all this, but that's just some little explanation. We'll go deeper explaining more on that. Now this is some IT terminologies in this case. Now we have the first one, which is the network in this case. Now this network, all the cables, the routers and the servers connected so that this device can talk to each other. Now imagine this network as the entire road and highway system of the city, right? The network is just like a global system. Without it, there's no road. Without it, we can't actually connect to the internet or do anything. Now we have the next one, which is the router. The router is a networking device that forwards your data, okay, that forwards data packets between different networks. Okay, it knows where to send your information on the internet. It's just exactly like a traffic police officer directing cars at a busy junction, right, to your router. Your router, just think of it as your small Wi-Fi you usually use every day in your room, right? So it knows where to send the traffic as long as you are in use of it. Okay, and then we have the switch, which is the last one here in this case. Now this switch also takes a data packet and sends it to the server correctly, right? But within your local network, within your neighborhood, right? That's where it can only communicate. Unlike the router allows you to access outside of your neighborhood. It's just like a small Wi-Fi. You can use it to access anything globally. Unlike a switch does not allow you to connect to the internet. You can only use it within your local environment. That's why it's called a local environment. So if you look at this diagram here, I have here, you'll see that 3 computers are all connected to this thing here called a switch, right? Now, if I want to send a message, let's say this is computer 1, computer 2, and 3. If this computer 1 wants to send a message to computer 3, in this case, now, well, this is only going to be possible because of the switch. The switch would know exactly where to send it to. Now, to make this clearly, if you look at this diagram, and this is like a PC, okay? Now I want to actually send a file to one of these PCs here, right? So once this PC connects to the internet, okay, the internet here is the router here, okay, and then you can connect what we call this router to the switch. So with that, we can automatically send it to any device which we want to send it to. Okay, so don't worry about all of this, but we'll get to that more deeply. Now, traditionally, I just want to show you how we all manage all this yearly. Now, if you remember Google, or you've read about Google started from just inside a house, inside a room, like a small room. Okay, and they were managing everything, the servers, the CPU, the storage, everything inside of this small room here, right? And that's not the best option. Over time, they actually grew by actually building an office. So inside of this office here, instead of them managing all the servers, the storage, everything inside of this office, they actually built a special room, and this special room is called a data center. A data center is simply where all these devices they usually need, like the server, the storage, right? They are all kept inside this data center. Think of it as a warehouse, okay, where you have to store everything you need, right? And this worked for so many times. If they needed more server now, they can actually buy more server, and they can buy as many. But imagine if your company grew 10 times bigger, you would always need to constantly buy a new server every time. And it's not just buying, you need to manage it, you need to do a lot of things to maintain it, right? So that's a big problem here. And first of all, you need to pay for the rent of the data center. Imagine it wasn't even your own building, you need to always pay for the rent. And imagine how big that place would be for you to store a server, right? And just assume it's kind of like this room here, okay, storing different computers, right? So this is kind of how data center looks like, but not as big as this, right? So let's swipe back, right, in this case. Okay, so the problem with that is that you must pay expensive rent for this entire data center. And not just that, you must pay for electricity, cooling system. You must also pay for constant maintenance. You need to always add new servers every single time. You need to replace the old ones which has been there for so long. You need to also scale. Now scaling is limited because growing quickly when customers arrive is very limited, right? So you can't grow very instantly as you have many customers, so you are limited to that. And you need to also hire a full team 24/7 to manage your infrastructure, right? So imagine you have to hire a full team that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to watch the system. That's going to be a lot of payments, right? And then lastly, imagine that what if fire actually erupts, or flood, or earthquake, or a power failure, right? That's going to be a big problem, right? So that's going to be a lot of money you need to spend just to manage storing your servers in a warehouse, in a data center, right? So but the big problem is, can we actually externalize this, right? That is, instead of us managing it ourselves, paying for supply, paying for rent, scaling it in a difficult way, hiring team to monitor it, can we actually externalize this? And the answer is yes. So in other words, we can stop managing these hardware problems ourselves and let someone else handle the building, the power, the cooling, and the maintenance ourselves. And this is where cloud computing was actually created. So we don't have to manage any of this ourselves.